So, real quick, I just want to dive into the fact that we were just talking about in the beginning. Uh, Announcements shouldn't be anymore. Like there shouldn't be any more announcements of, oh, I have an album coming or I have a single coming. I don't think any of that should be around anymore because music is at a serious depreciation because of technology. And the crazy thing is, this was the fear of a lot of people almost a decade ago. Dare I say, when Drake first arrived on the scene, if you guys don't remember, when Drake first arrived on the scene, you know what? I wonder if I have that actually. When Drake first arrived on the scene, there was a, and I've talked about this in the podcast before. There was a talk of what the streaming services were going to be doing for the labels, as far as, well, not even the labels. What streaming services were going to be doing as far as revenue was concerned for artists. The game had changed completely as far as people receiving residual income. There was no more you going platinum out of the gate, so to speak. That's one aspect out of it. Um, there was no more big budgets, big album budgets. Uh, there was no multi-million-dollar album budgets being shipped out anymore because of the decline in actual music revenue. And what I mean by that is labels had started to see a huge decline in their actual income when Spotify, Apple, Pandora, Livewire was just the tip of the iceberg. But when Pandora, Spotify, and Apple Music started to get big and they became legit companies as far as streaming music, that's when the labels had to start saying to themselves, okay, we need to start figuring out how we're actually going to receive residual income off of these streaming services because it's to the penny to the dollar to stream this actual music. You see, now you look at it, right? The average artist earns less than a penny, almost a fraction from Spotify per stream. And then you look at how many streams it takes for an album to actually go platinum. It's way more than a million versus back in the day where it was just album sales and it just took a million CDs. You could ship a million CDs and go platinum. The game has changed. So I just want to play a little excerpt from Better Than Good Enough.
Some people say it's...
If you don't remember, I'm just going to see if I could find a little part here at the end. Where they actually showed Drake's album sales. Well, you know what? Let's not even do that. So I'm just going to play the beginning of it so you guys can understand what I'm talking about.
Fast and so hot.
I'm just going to play the intro for you guys. I'm not going to show it, but I'm going to play the intro for you guys real quick. So you guys can understand where I'm coming from.
First time I ever heard about Drake, it was from an 8th grader. She said, oh, my favorite rapper is Drake, the guy from Degrassi High, the next generation.
His career has sort of been microwaved so fast and so hot. He's been on Vibe magazine, b.l.a.c, major media hits, and no album.
Drake's the new thing. He's that thing. It's really exciting. I think Drake's measure of success is, can he Will Smith the game?
People have really latched on to the ride. It's like a Harry Potter book, and you want the next chapter.
This thing related is about to be crazy. People are watching. People are ready. Ninth inning, full count.
You will put this album in your CD player, and you won't stop it.
Now listen to this part right here. This is very important. This is very important.
It's clear that he's like the biggest thing in hip-hop, but is he going to become like Lady Gaga? The money in the music industry these days is not from record sales, but from touring.
It's a big moment to see. Can the rap community create a new star that can translate into a viable commercial success?
And I just wanted to play out that little part right there because at the very end of the documentary, they emphasized the part where he went on to sell just under gold. He sold, I believe, between 450 or 470,000 copies first week. Now, we're talking about Drake sold barely gold his first album first week, right? That was to just disclaimer that music was taking a serious decline in things. We're talking about the next biggest thing since the fucking Beatles coming out was Drake at the time. And the biggest album sale we can get out of him was Barely Gold. That was a very telling time already back then and there. Um so you fast forward to now and you have a scenario where Chloe Bailey sells 10,000 albums her first week. Music since Drake and even Drake himself, I've heard nothing but talks of Drake needs to go away. Drake needs to go. We talked about it here in this podcast. Drake needs to go away. It's not that Drake needs to go away. Now that I'm thinking about it, more or less, it's not the fact that Drake needs to go away. It's just the fact that music has become depreciated in value. Excuse me. Music has become very depreciated in value, especially with the emergence of AI rap. Um, the emergence of AI rap, I really am kind of nervous of, for the simple fact that these AI generated tracks that I've been hearing. The first one I got wind of was the Jay-Z track that Guru posted. When I heard it, I said to myself, okay, it sounds like one of those. If you ever journeyed on YouTube and found one of those like put together records, you know what I mean? Where they find someone's old verse and put it with their beat that they made or whatever. It sounded like that. That's what I first took from it. But these were also original AI generated lyrics, which means there's someone that, or there was a chat GPT generated Now, it's gotten so big that CBS News has reported on the Drake and Weekend song that has emerged recently. To have his annotations like that. See, shit like that gets very scary when it's sounding so close to the actual artist. Like, this sounds like something that Drake would actually do. This sounds like a flow that Drake would actually use. The beat sounds like something Drake would actually get on. Now, one thing I will say is they didn't get the Weeknd's verse too good. Now, I have noticed that also. As far as singers, they haven't manipulated the voices that good. If you realize what we listened to Rihanna's voice, yes, it sounds very distinct to Rihanna. But as far as, like, say, for example, the mixing that a reverb would be in, perfect example here, The Weeknd uses a lot of reverb on his voice. You hear that very minimalist on here. So you can very distinctly tell when there's a artificial intelligence singer on the record versus there is an artificial intelligence rapper. The artificial intelligence rappers I've noticed have very singular. Remember, rappers already use singular tracks. You know what I mean? They use the lead track, then you have the ad lib track, double, so on and so forth, right? So that's very easy to manipulate on an actual track in music. So I get how the rappers are easily manipulated with this AI technology and the singers are not because the ranges actually differentiate. So I very, 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 really, I very much doubt we're going to see a huge increase in these AI generated singers versus rappers. I think AI generated rap is going to jump out of the woodworks more so than singing is. Um, but just in general, I think that music as a whole, like I said, is about to very much depreciate because of the manipulation of the voices with AI generated music. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it because it's so fucked up that humans have become so dumbed down that we're ruining something like music. It's one of the only things we have left that have feeling to it. And we're erasing the feeling and emotion out of music by making AI generated music. I don't think people understand what I'm saying when I say that. But hear me clearly when I say AI generated music needs to die and it needs to die now. This is the only thing we have left as humans that we can actually feel and love through emotion and feel something that's actually real. Music gets people through time. It gets people through things. And how are we going to let a robot now dictate how we feel? That's what y'all are doing now with making AI generated music. You are now making music where an AI can tell you how to feel. The AI generated music needs to die. It needs to die. It needs to stop. I, for one, I am with Universal Music. Universal Music recently put out a recent statement saying that you cannot generate stream income off of the AI generated music because it's still copyright infringement and taking someone's likeness, which I do agree on. It very much so is. So therefore, no, you should not be able to profit off this. This should not be something that's also being spread. I wish I never heard of any of this. As soon as I heard, like I said, the Jay-Z verse, I was alarmed because I'm starting. Only thing it reminded me of when I heard AI generated Jay-Z. It just reminded me of when I go to the Weiss now and when I go to Walmart and I see all the self checkouts. Took a pause on that just so y'all can understand what the fuck I'm saying to y'all. It's similar to when I go to Walmart and the Wise and I see nothing but self checkouts and it's only one or two humans at a checkout. We are literally letting technology take over what humans do day to day. Because we have become so fascinated and intrigued with technology and advancement of it, we are depreciating the value of the actual human being. I really hope the AI generated music, like I said, dies out. It's just one of those things where it's like you say to yourself, what's to come of the future when people are listening to robots that can manipulate them? When robots can sound like you or me? When the person that you're talking to in the mirror can sound like you and tell you how to feel? It's the direction we're headed in, unfortunately.